Hey, what's up, everyone? So I'm going to give you my experience in college and why I believe it can be a very important asset to budding entrepreneurs. So I first went to Mesa Community College. I went there for 2 years and I got my associate's degree. And I ended up transferring to ASU and I was in kinesiology. I walked onto the ASU team. Now, as you know, I got tossed around like a little kid in that wrestling room. The first year in kinesiology, I was also focusing on just the basic areas of math, science, and also biomechanics and biology. So we were just going over the basics, and the classes became more intense, obviously, as I went up. So everything was going really well. There were some stressful times and there were some easier times. Obviously, finals are some of the most stressful times that you can have. And my third year, I actually was going to quit the wrestling team because I needed to start making money. I needed to pay for my rent and I just needed basic food. I didn't really have a lot of food. I was actually eating at a buffet once a day for a little bit, so it got rough. And so I went to my coach and I told him, it was Tom Ortiz at the time, and I said, go, Coach Ortiz, I got to quit the team. And he had said to me, but no one else will wrestle with Cain Velasquez. I don't know if any of you know who Cain Velasquez is. He was a world champion in the UFC, and he ended up placing multiple times as an All-American at ASU. The guy was a badass. Nicest guy off the field, meanest guy on it. Like, he would kick your ass. So no one really wanted to wrestle him. I was really the only person who was crazy enough to wrestle that animal. So anyways, so I'm telling my coach, I'm like, Coach, I have to quit. I need money. I can't afford this right now. And he told me that he would put me on a scholarship. So I don't know, for anyone who doesn't know, being a second string guy on a wrestling team, to get a scholarship for something like that, that's really difficult to do. There's not many people who are going to get scholarships off of being a second string, especially a second string walk-on. So that was absolutely an honor and a blessing to have that opportunity to get paid to be basically a training partner. So I stayed on and I ended up finishing out my degree. All right. So I graduated. The question is, what did I learn? What did I learn about being an entrepreneur and graduating from school? Well, honestly, I can't give you that answer quite yet because I got right into the corporate world. I did. As some of you may know, on some of my past videos, I talk about working undercover security. So I did that for 6 months, couldn't stand it. Then I went corporate into was a place called Pure Fitness. They actually got bought out by LA Fitness. But at the time, I worked there for a good 9 months. And that's when I realized I don't like the corporate world at all. Like, I was just kind of done, even with what I loved doing. And when I went out on my own, I ended up working with the guy who had a place called Epiphany. I learned a lot. Like, my mind was blown on how little I really knew getting out into the real world. Another thing I learned was selling's not easy at first. Nothing is easy at first. But I did learn everything becomes easy if you were willing to put in the work and you're willing to practice at it. As a personal trainer, when I went to go sell someone for the first time, and it wasn't a hot lead like at Pure Fitness brings them to the door. When you're on your own, you have to go get your own food. And learning to speak and talk to people and deal with objectives was difficult at first. It was one of the hardest things it was hard. It felt like public speaking. I'd get nervous, sweaty, freak out, stutter. And I got better at it, and I got a lot better at it because I knew I wanted to help people. I just had to relay my message properly. And as I got better at it and I started tailoring it and really putting it into play and into action and showing a lot of success, that made life a lot easier too. When you can show before and afters and the change, I'm not about just changing the physical, as many of you know. I'm about changing the whole package. We're not looking at just changing a physical package, because honestly, if the physical is changed left and right, it can be changed up and down. You can change whatever you want. If the mental's not right, if the spirit's not right, it's not going to work anyway. You got to change everything. You got to do an overhaul on that individual. And that's why I actually read tons of psychology books and just understanding the mind and how it works. But it's not just the reading, it's the acting in, it's the putting into play. Now, asking the question, well, where did school teach you anything? You had to go into the real world to really learn things. That is true. But what I learned in school was I learned to do things I did not necessarily want to do. I learned how to learn under a structure that didn't really work for me. I learned how to deal with difficult people as well. Some of those teachers were very difficult, and that's important. I learned that if you do the right things, people will do the right things back for you. If you work hard and you put in work, people will find a way to make it work. So like I said, with my coach, he gave me that scholarship. I got put in the positions that I needed to be successful. I learned mindset. Well, I always kind of knew mindset was important, but I tailored my mindset. I worked on my mindset. I always knew I wanted to do big things. And everyone has their own special story. Everyone has their own way of getting there. And I'll tell you right now, some entrepreneurs might tell you, find a mentor, work under that mentor for a couple years, be successful. That's probably the easiest route anyone could take. But how often does that really happen? Because you still have to learn how to sell. You have to sell yourself to the mentor. A mentor is not just going to do for you and expect nothing in return. It has to be a win-win. Then you have to hope you're getting the right mentor, the one who's going to give you proper direction and give you the proper advice. And honestly, be humble enough to let you know that if they don't know, they'll let you know that they don't know. Because there are some CEOs out there who believe they know everything about everything. There are mentors out there who believe they know everything about everything, and they can lead you down the wrong path. And so whether you get into the right situation or the wrong situation, every situation's a situation that you can perceive however you want to perceive it. I can't take back going to college, but I can talk to other people about going to college. There's positives to it and there's negatives to it, just like anything in life. There's always going to be positives and there's always going to be negatives. It's how you choose to see what you're in. It's how you choose to learn where you're at. You can learn from any situation. Now what I can do is give pros and cons, just like in anything else. Another thing. When I learned to sell people, I learned how to really actively listen, because that's one of the most important skill sets you can have. You have to actively listen to people because you have to know, okay, what is it they absolutely need? Where do they need to go in life? What are they looking and what do they need to get there? And so you can't really give that information without knowing who the individual you're talking to is. And that's the most important part. And so if I say, yes, you should go to college, this is why, I can say, these are the pros to go into college. These are the cons to go into college. I told my story because maybe you want a similar story. Maybe you don't. But the truth of the matter is, no matter what you do, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. And that's the beauty of it. Because I have never heard anyone sit at a movie theater where everything just works perfectly the entire time. It's just constantly going in this direction of ease and no tempered putting in the work, dealing with real pressure. See, the best diamonds are made under pressure. So whatever situation you're in, know you can get out of it and know you can be great at what you do. Do the best you can, and I hope you all have a great day.